Daniel, thank you for coming on the red carpet round table.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very welcome.
Let's just dive right into this. How long have you been in the entertainment industry? What got you started to pursue your dreams in this industry?
So the entertainment industry I've been in since I was three, so almost 40 years.
Wow.
I think you're a veteran then.
Yes. Did you say 3 years old?
Yeah, I mean, entertainment in general to me is a kind of a broad term, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was a stage kid, so I was a, I was a classical ballet dancer, music theater. So that's why I started so young, and then transitioned eventually to film and television. So I've been doing it for a long time. It's sort of in my blood.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So since you've been doing it since 3 years old, were your parents also in the entertainment industry? Also, were they acting? Or did
They
they
weren't.
see something in you that they're like, we're gonna put our daughter into the entertainment and be an actress?
Um, they were not. My father is a like advocate for mental health and mental health specialty and has sort of done a lot of different things in his life. But he's always had a soft place for art and performing arts. He was a music critic when he was living in Boston at one point. So we always had like a little side thing with art to some degree. And then my mom actually worked in the government, but she was always a painter. She's an artist. She's an oil painter. And when she retired, she opened her own art studio and art gallery. So it's there, but not on a stage per se. So I guess my parents always had a passion for it and a soft spot for it. And so they made sure that growing up, I went to the ballet and I went to see shows and had a strong appreciation for the entire, like, encompassing world of art and performing. And then when they gave me a choice and said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to dance. Let's see what happens."
Yeah.
Got older, it turned
Yeah,
out I wasn't so bad.
that's amazing. It's like you're following your parents' footsteps and they're like with you and you're just going.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully they both were very supportive. I mean, my mom saw every single show that I did up until I think the third year I was living in New York, which was well into my 20s. So
Wow.
every
Wow.
she can't my New York City premiere she even came to, and my parents don't live anywhere near New York, so they kind of came along for the ride. So.
That's impressive. And for you to be in the business at such a young age, what did you learn from then until now? I know it has to. Tell us the secrets. Give us the tea.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, never give up on your dreams. I'm a firm believer that if you find something that you're passionate about, follow it and follow it wholeheartedly, and you will find your place and you will find your way. And maybe your journey isn't what you planned it to be or you expected it to be, but it is going to be end up being magical and pretty darn amazing when you take a step back and look. I mean, I'm very humbled by like the life and experiences I've had. But at the same time, like I said, I've been in this business for a long time, but my career has evolved and has changed so much. And every time it changes, it's almost like starting over, but with a little bit of like secret knowledge because you've done parts of it before. And so I think as long as you're confident in what you're doing and you love what you do, it will shine through and people will see it and they will love it and they will guide you, even if you're a little bit of a lost puppy at times. Like, generally, this business is incredibly hard and,
Yeah.
people are so mean. But at the same time, there are some really good people in this industry, and so I think if you can find the right people and get yourself surrounded by those people, then, you're going to build and create a whole entire like kingdom of people around you to be supportive.
That's very
That's
true.
awesome.
It's go back what you were saying. It's about surrounding yourself with people, positive energy, but don't give up. Keep going. The passion, the encouragement. Um, with this industry, it's like don't give up. That's one thing I just learned from you, what you were just saying.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Never give up. I mean, I have gotten more rejections in my lifetime of like,
Oh,
I can't even, but you can't let it get you down. You just, if you believe in yourself and you keep working hard at it and you keep training and practicing, you're going to get somewhere. Someday someone is going to say yes. And then, maybe there'll be a few more yeses along the way.
hmm
And you can't let the no's bother you. Though, I mean, as you're young, it's harder, but as you grow and you go through more and more and more, sometimes they're not saying no because they don't like you. They're saying no because you don't fit the part, or they're saying no because it's a not right now, and I'm going to remember you for the next casting because I already know.
hmm
Like, you can't get in your own head. You can't get in your own way. You have to just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep pushing forward. Like I was just talking to a director friend of mine, and I mean, I'm sure you're very well aware this industry is really all kinds of crazy right now. Um, and I just wrapped on a short this weekend that I was directing, and I'm going to be filming a completely different film this weekend. And I was like, "Yep, I'm done. It's in the editor's hands. I saw my dailies. I'm good. Let's go." Like, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "The work is here now. I have to take it."
yeah.
So yeah,
I really appreciate you saying that because you know what? It is hard when you're doing audition after audition after audition. And you sit there sometimes as an artist and you're going, I think I did 10,000 auditions by now
yes,
and one callback. And it just kind of gets to here on
it.
with everyone. And so I just really appreciate you saying that because I needed to hear that today. And I'm sure anyone that's listening that is in this industry understands exactly what you're saying.
Oh, I'm 100%. There's a lady that I follow that's in music theater, and she has a TikTok and a Facebook and all that. And for I'd say the last like 6 months or so, she's been posting like a funny little video, and she holds up her computer and it says like, "This month my bills came to this. Month I did this many auditions. This month I got this many callbacks. This month I booked one gig. This month I made this."
Yeah.
And and she always is just like, the messages don't stop. Like, some months are going to be great and other months are going to be really bad. And sometimes you're going to have a few months in a row where it is rough. And then there's going to be months that it just keeps going, and like, I just believe that you can't, if you believe in yourself, you keep working at it, you keep pushing hard, and you are going to find your way and you're going to find your path, and everyone else is going to follow in suit with you. Like, they're going to be like, "That's it, that is the guy," or "That's the lady, and she's it, or he's it." And you embrace that. Every one of those wins should like tower over the 100 no's,
Oh
because
yeah.
there's a million of us in this business,
Yeah.
and nobody looks the same, no one speaks the same, nobody acts the same. So of course it's not, they don't know that they
hmm
want you or need you until you walk in that room. So
Very true. Hmm.
Facts.
Very true. And as acting, do you have any upcoming projects, current projects that you're working on that you may be able to allow to talk about some?
um yeah, I can. The film project I just wrapped on is a film that's coming out in 2025, early 2025. It's going to hit the festival circuit. I actually was lucky enough to also play the lead in it as well as direct it. And it is a 3D film. So that's different for me. That's a new genre of filmmaking. And that film is a micro short, but it was just so fun to shoot. And it was fun to take the script and make it my own in a way that I don't get to normally as an actor. As an actor, you take your character and create that, but you don't get to like make it all play out in front of everyone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it was fun for me to take the script and twist it and turn it and make it into the weird, funny, dark humor that it lives in my brain sometimes. So that film is like definitely, I think, one of those like must see, fun, short little pop up kind of films. And I was also lucky enough to work on a short psychological thriller over the summer that is in final stages of post production. So that's going to hit the circuit pretty early 2025. And man, that was a roller coaster ride. It was awesome. My character started off very small and throughout the process got bigger and bigger. And she really came to life. And it was so fun because it was a team of people I've never worked with before. I didn't know a single person involved in the project. And that's unusual when you've been in the business for so long. So for me, it was nice to walk into a cast and crew of completely new and fresh faces. And it was actually two really young directors that are kind of this next generation of filmmaker, and they were very smart, and they surrounded themselves by a number of very seasoned professionals. Their crew was all very seasoned. Most of the actors had pretty decent resumes, so they kind of locked it in as far as like, here's the talent that's done this and here's the crew that's done this, and now we get to play and learn. And so that was just, that was a ball. I loved it. I think that they are probably the most supportive directors I've ever worked with, which was an incredible
Wow.
experience. Yeah.
Wow.
These young, 20-year-old kids, they were so good. They had a theater background as actors, and they said, let's treat it like that. Let's make people rehearse. Let's treat them like family. Let's bring them into the fold and let them know where this really came from in a different way than I'm used to in film and television. So
Hmm.
that's kind of fun, especially for a short, and that was really cool. We all still are in a group chat checking in on each other, still give each other happy birthday messages, even though we've been wrapped for like 6 months. And there's something special in that when you find people that just kind of become this family. And um, we all still talk, and I have some friends that I'm trying to from that group that I found that I'm trying to pull into projects I'm working on. And yeah, so those are kind of the ones I can talk about. The film I'm filming this coming weekend is actually is a project that's very close to my heart. And so I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm hoping that when it comes out, it'll be something special for the world to see. But it is a project I wrote. So it's the first
Oh,
film I've written in 10 years. And I think it's going to be really beautiful and magical. And my production company is producing it. And, you guys have met Jerry White. She's amazing. She's the executive producer on it. So it's a project that we're all super excited about. So when it's all said and done, I'll have to send it to you and share.
Yes,
yeah.
please, please. We would love
Yeah,
to watch it.
yeah, it's gonna
And we'll
be
promote it on the Red Carpet Roundtable Instagram.
that would be amazing. I would love that.
I think from my question, which is probably going to be a very tough question for you,
Okay.
there's the actress and there's the producer. Who do you love most?
I like the actress. uh, I have fallen into producing. I spent a number of years doing stage management for theater and opera companies. So I have a natural knack of production management. And so with that kind of falls into being a producer and knowing all the bits and bobs that you have to do to make something actually happen. So with that, I have a good sort of base that I can produce from. And my survival job is actually in project management, basically. So I build and develop programming. And so because of that, also it's a very like sequential, like you have to do this step before you can do this step. And that is what producing is. In many ways, it's you have to do these things before you get to the next thing or simultaneously, right? So it's a very different way of thinking and I enjoy it, but I love being an actress. That is where my passion and my like heart and soul it lives. So
As someone who is about to embark on the journey of doing theater for the first time, what is the biggest thing that you can tell me? Hey, babe, can you come here?
Yes, my co-host Daryl is going. Actually, I'm so proud of Daryl, my co-host, because this is amazing that he is going to be in theater. This is his
yeah.
first time, and I'm so proud of my co-host Daryl being in theater. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm so proud of him, and I just cannot wait to all the exciting things he's going to talk about it.
Oh, that's so amazing. Congratulations. Brava.
Thank you. My question for you, as a stage manager,
Uh-huh.
my wife is going to be the stage manager in that theater production. What tips can you give her to make everything run smooth? As smooth as it can. Let's not put too much pressure.
Yeah. Make sure you keep your stage management notebook. So you want a 3-ring binder, you want to put that script in there, you want to give yourself sticky notes of all different colors so that for every entrance and exit, each person is assigned a different color. So that you can find those spots quickly when you're going from queue to queue. Um, find a good color coding system, I think is the best words of advice, and take pretty meticulous notes during rehearsals. um, so I ended up what I often did was I would have a copy of the script in my little notebook and then I had a second copy next to me and I would write all my notes in the second copy and then that night after rehearsal I would go back into my binder notebook and transfer everything over so that I knew that I understood what I wrote. Sometimes I'd be like, but I would color code it. So, one actor might be pink and then one actor might be yellow. And that way, you know who gets what prop, or you know the person at least that's going to make the next entrance really quickly because you have to know those things on the fly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good
So
to know.
those are
Really
my
good to know.
big takeaways, I would say, as a stage manager for theater and for opera. So
Awesome. Well, thank you for those tips. I
absolutely,
need to get
yeah.
on those sticky notes.
Yes, find them. Amazon.
You know, and all this time I know Daryl as my, co-host. He's an amazing co-host, by the way. But all the acting career he's done, but as him going to theater, I'm so more excited for him
Yes.
because he can tell me, and including you as yourself, but he can tell me what is the pro and cons about theater acting, and that is what's so exciting for me to learn. I'm so excited to learn that as well, to hear stories of fellow actors and actresses about theater and what's so more fun about it and what's more fun about not being on camera and like it's okay to make a mistake and continue and then
Yeah.
like oh being on the camera and like oh I made a mistake and then everybody's like cut stop let's start
Yeah.
over. So that's the one thing I'm kind of excited about.
Well, Daryl, is this your very first time doing theater?
Yes, it will be. And it's kind of strange because it's not strange, but the director saw me on backstage and she contacted me and she said, "You are the person we're looking for." And this actual production is called The Day the Music Died.
Based off the song?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So I was like,
Oh,
I've never done theater before. And she was like, that's okay. I think you can really do it. I was like, okay, that's all I need, that you believe in me. So, yeah.
it's a trip, I'm telling you. Um, I I mean, I started in theater, so it's a different, it's a little bit of a different flip-flop, but I think that you are going to be a better actor when you're done. This run of the show, for sure. I think theater makes people better, especially if they started on the screen side of things and then go to theater. Um, it makes you appreciate learning your lines very different. Um, I have friends that have asked if I want to venture back to the Broadway bubble, and I kind of said not yet. And part of that is just, the last time the last thing I did on stage was a couple of off Broadway plays, and every night is different. Not one time is it going to be the same, and that's a beautiful thing, but also like it's so stressful in a different way, like you got, and I was doing Greek tragedy. So you have these incredibly ridiculous monologues. And I just remember one night with friends in the audience, I walked off and they're like, oh my God, this is great. Like, after bows and curtain call. And I just looked at them and I was like, was it? Because I had just done like 20 shows in a row. And they were like, yeah, it was awesome. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take your word for it because I don't know if I messed up. I don't know if I like did better last night or tonight. You just don't know. And the same way that as an audition, you have to walk away and be done with it and move on. That's how each show has to be.
Hmm.
Or you're going to live in it and you're going to be like, I think I messed up that line. Oh, I can't forget that line tonight or whatever. And you can't. You're like, all right, that one's done. Moving on to the next one. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, so those are my words. I mean, I love it. I love theater and I love stage work, but I think that's the hardest part is like kind of like what you were saying. You don't get to stop. If you make a mistake, they don't say cut. You just have to keep on going.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the
Given your
one
own
thing
head.
about
Yeah.
theater is that you mess up, you keep going because everybody on the stage that I've heard of, they look at him like they somehow go with the flow, and it's like by the time you go behind the curtains, everybody like, I made a mistake, and everybody's like, it's okay, we figure something out, we go with it, and
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly. Yeah. You just keep going. Yeah. And you can't live in it. Like that's the other thing is
yeah,
I that you make a mistake, you just and say it's like you make a staging mistake, right? So your lines are good, but you're supposed to go all the way to the front of the stage
Yeah.
and you're still standing in center stage. Then you realize and you're like, oh, and then you do like a little whatever to get there.
and
And
one thing I hear the audience don't even notice. They're like,
oh,
oh,
no, no, no.
because the audience don't even notice because the everybody on the stage, all the cast members, they follow along. So
Yeah.
everybody in the audience is like, oh, this is part of it, and they're like, okay, and then they're like, it's like, but the cast members are like, we know we made a mistake, but it's okay.
Yes, yes, yes. The only time the audience is ever going to know is if like something falls off the stage or, I keep telling my mom one day I'm going to write my tell all and it's going to be all the weird stuff that's happened on stage when I've been there. Like I was doing a show I was doing Cinderella and the prince jumped to sit in the chair of the throne and the back curtain was like this and the chair was here and the chair tipped backwards through the back curtain, so
Oh my.
obviously the whole audience that wasn't supposed to happen. But we just kept going. Like we were like, all right. And meanwhile, you hear like we could all hear the crew back there, like push him up, and he's like, when it came back up because he had to just play it off. Like he didn't get out of the chair. He stayed there. The audience could see his feet dangling. And like that stuff they know, but it's that, so
Oh my gosh.
That is kind of funny how everybody's trying to push him back up, and then the audience is kind of like, is this part of the
is this happening
thing?
for real? Yeah, so like you go with it. It's like live action all the time.
I appreciate that. I just, in my mind, I'm like, work until I know the lines, but at the same time, there's so much more into it than just the lines. It's the actions and being bolder in your expressions and
Yes.
looking outward, not inward when speaking. Let the audience see you speaking to the other person. So I've been digging on YouTube, trying to
Okay.
get some pointers. Who's talking to me today on YouTube, telling me some things I need to know.
Yeah. I mean, it is different. The good thing is that if you have a good stage director, they're gonna place you in the right places. Like your director is gonna guide you to where you really need to be standing. I think the biggest thing is the expressions. Like you have to kind of overdo it on stage, and in film, that people are like, "You're so dramatic," or and you're like, so that I think it'll be fun for you to just make everything bigger.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. I'm
yeah.
so
I
like,
love that. That's amazing.
yeah,
Well, if you
it's
see my picture on the gram of me in the hospital, you'll know why, because I'm just ah, freaked out because I'm like I barely survived. Thank you.
You
Thank you,
survived.
Danielle, for all the tips.
right.
Oh,
Oh, you're gonna do so good. I
Daryl's
feel.
gonna do amazing. He's gonna do amazing.
well, thank you guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I can't
You're,
wait to hear about it as well.
I want to hear about it.
Yeah, I definitely 100% want to hear about. When Darryl told me that he's going to be a theater, I was like really, really excited. I was like, okay, this is so cool. I really am. This is like really 100% because, I support Darryl. He's just, like I said, an amazing co-host, but amazing actor. And then now he's going to be an amazing theater actor. And I can't wait to hear
Easy
more about
now,
it.
easy,
Hey, hey, hey,
easy.
I'm just speaking the truth from
Let's
my
get
heart
back to
now.
Danielle. I mean, I have to make it there first. I mean,
You'll get there. Hey.
I'm just speaking from my heart, Daryl.
I know
Okay.
you are.
Yeah. Danielle, but one thing I want to dig into a little bit because you're a mother, is that correct?
Yes.
And as a parent, um, do do you? I'm kind of trying to word this correctly. What do you believe is a right age for children to get into acting? Maybe I'm trying to act this, maybe I'm asking the correct question. And part two of it is, do you feel like parents should kind of force their kids to follow their parents' dream to be an actor or an actress, or let the kids figure out from there?
I don't think I think it's subject to the kid, to be honest. So I'm in a unique position because I had a career before I was a parent, and I decided to take a break. I took a 6 year break from everything entertainment just to focus on being a mom and having young kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I waited until my youngest turned a little like 2.5 before I started to really explore what it would look like to do. And so obviously the business has changed a lot. But what I will say is my oldest has figured out that mommy makes movies. And part of that is I also don't let him see anything I'm in at the moment. And some of that's because a lot of what I do is a lot of very like action based or, thriller,
Mm-hmm.
or film kind of stuff. And he's still pretty young. So he's figured out that mommy makes movies. And um, there are times where he's home and I'm doing auditions. And he has figured out, like, oh, mommy's going to do an audition. So I'll be over in that side of the house, going to be over here. And, every once in a while, I'll say, buddy, do you want to try this? And for a couple times, he said, yeah, mom, I'll try. So I would submit us as like a mom son situation so that he never had to do it alone. And we did a couple auditions, and he was like, I don't like this, I don't like auditioning this, no, like, and it's everything's self tape right now. So I was like, all right, well, if you ever change your mind, you just let me know. um and now I'm working a lot more in the business. Things are starting to pick up for me, which is great. now that I'm back into it really. And so I'm gone more. And now he was like, Mommy, I think I know what I want to do for a living. And I was like, what? Thinking like, he goes, first, I'm going to work at a movie theater as my very first job when I'm a
Oh,
teenager so that I can go to the movies for free. Then I'm going to start making movies. But then after that, I'm going to go and be a paleontologist and an astronaut. So kind of, he's kind of digging it. Like he likes the idea of the storytelling.
Hmm.
I'm not sure he likes the idea of being an actor, but he now writes these stories for me. And he's like, do you think we can turn this into a movie? And so he started to express interest in animation. And so he's starting to kind of fall into the I like what you do, but I'm not sure I like exactly what you do. And so I'm kind of I want to say like there isn't really an age that you expose them to it or
Hmm.
introduce it to
Hmm.
them. But I think if you're in it already as a parent, they're gonna see it. So I don't think it's worth
Right.
hiding it from them. They oh, you have to do an audition, like I'm gonna go and like hide in the basement, unless you need complete quiet. But my youngest today, he said, Mommy, do you have to work tonight? And I was like, I do actually. And he's like, okay, fine. Because what happens for me as a person who's got the survival job and is a filmmaker, I do my survival job during the like normal people hours, and then I write my scripts, or I'm doing all my production stuff at night, or I'm rehearsing at night.
mhm.
And so they're kind of putting the pieces together. So I'll be curious to see what direction my youngest goes, but at the same time, they're still kids. They're like, oh, tomorrow I'm
Hmm.
going to go play soccer or what. So there's no focus on it. um they haven't asked for lessons. They haven't, so I feel like if they ever came to me and asked for it, I would say, sure, let's try. Um, but I was kind of, before they were born, I actually had said to my husband, I said, what do you think about me putting them into film when they're infants? Because then we could start like a college fund for them with all the money they make. And he's like, if you can get them work, sure, why not? Like, if they're infants, nobody's going to even know who they are when they're older. And so we went through a phase where we did like a couple little bits and bobs, and we didn't really get anything, but I at least submitted us. And now they're older and like recognizable. And so we were like, okay, we're going to lay it off of it until they ask for it. So that's kind of where we're at, is if they ever ask, we'll say, sure, let's see what happens. I mean, I certainly know, this acting school is better than that acting school, or if I really know how to get you in as a kid actor, if you really wanted it, but let's cross that bridge if you ever ask, and some of that is just being in the business, like, people, and
Hmm.
you've learned. And also I kind of had to navigate so much of that myself as when I was a teenager and in my 20s and stuff, so I figured out a lot of it along the way, that I kind of said, if my kids ever asked to do this, I would see if they're serious before I go and give them like the real professional references. But I think it's fine. I think it's okay to have them exposed to the fact that
Right.
that I'm an actor, and a producer, and mommy makes movies. um I think the fact that my husband is as supportive of it as he is also helps. So they kind of see, oh, daddy thinks it's okay too. It's cool. It's good. Um, I think those are all positive things. So I kind of think it's really up to the kid individually. Um, but I mean, I know parents that have said their kids won't be around it at all. And, I don't know. I feel like if they really want it, they're going to come to me and ask for it eventually.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
I
thank you
like
for sharing that.
yeah, I like the aspect from that, you know, at such a young age, they're already being inspired, rather than, so many times kids are just waiting until later in life to get a vision of what they're seeing or want to pursue. And they
Mhm.
have you as that example. And, of course, having your husband being so supportive, and now they're learning that as well. I think the culture you're creating at home is really what's going to make your children a lot more successful going into the future.
Thank you. I hope so. I mean, both my husband and I try to be as aspirational and inspirational as possible. He is an athlete. So, we also we flip it around too on the other side. And when daddy does races, we're all standing there cheering and we make the signs and we're that family. So, and if we can't be there, then we're like tracking it on the phone, like, oh, he's at this mile, And so I think that as long as, we're showing them that there are choices, that whatever they want at the end of the day is, we'll see if they're really into it, but we'll let them try.
Right. That's amazing. It's amazing. And that's why I asked you that because, a lot of parents may be wondering, is what is the right decision? What should I do? And because, you have a lot of parents who are not actors and actresses and they want to get in the entertainment industry and what should they do? What decision and when's the right time? And I know you have helped a lot of moms out there who will be listening to this interview and watching you to understand when is the right decision and and go for it, especially mothers who are actresses as well, to
Yeah.
learn from your story. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking.
As far as your career going forward, I know that you've been doing this for quite some time. Where do you see yourself 5, 10 years from now as far as going forward?
Well, it's a bit of a loaded question because what person isn't going to say, I'm going to make movies and live the dream, right? But to be honest, my priorities and my goals have certainly shifted since becoming a parent. Um, and, if you had asked me that before I got married and before I had kids, I would have been like, my goal is to make millions and be a household name and be one of the potential Oscar winners. And part of me still wants that, right? Like that's it. But at the same time, what I really really want and what my goal is in the next 5 years is to get myself to the point as an actor where I am consistently working. I have enough money in the bank that I am not worried about making sure my bills are paid, but it doesn't have to be a gazillion dollars. Like, I just want to know that I'm good and that my kids are good, that I can pay my bills. I want to be able to put some money away for my kids to go to college. Doesn't have to even be all of it, just some of it. I want to be stable as an actor that gets to act and produce and create consistently. Like that is, for me, that's what makes me whole, is knowing that my family and I are good, but that I get to be creative and I get to tell stories and that I get to change people's lives through those stories. And that's kind of one of the things that's going on with Three Chics Flicks, which is a production company that I co-own. And, it is a non-for-profit. And so there's a lot of good that we're going to do with that. But it's got two big purposes. One is that we are building and designing and helping create these amazing short stories, television shows, feature films that are predominantly female driven. So the storyline is female driven. But then on top of that, on set, we generally lean towards hiring women. And some of that is because the gender gap is so significant in all
Oh, yeah.
industries.
Hmm.
And, we really see it. Like, I've seen it for years, and I finally am at the position in my life where I can say I'm old enough and I get this and I've been doing it long enough that I want to help make a difference, even if it's in a tiny little way. In those, 100 people I'm going to work with, I want to make that difference. So by doing that, we predominantly are trying to hire women in the industry that are at that higher professional level. And if we can't, like, we know a lot of wonderful, talented men that would be dying to work with us. But the stipulation when we hire them is that they are willing to let an up and coming female shadow them. So, for example, part of the gap in the business is that I know a lot of wonderful second ADs that are women and they can't climb because they're stuck behind a whole bunch of other people. And so we're trying to give them opportunities to come in and be first AD. So they start to be able to build that resume and build the things that are going to help them build the stepping stones to someday be, first AD on the big motion pictures, or even the DP, or, the director, whatever their ultimate goal is. But a lot of times what's happening is you get to a certain point and you get stuck, especially as a woman in this business. So we want to provide opportunities for women on set to learn and grow from, the best of the best. And so there's those pieces. But then on top of that, we have an educational component, and we go into the school systems and we create, basically we create film clubs. So as we all know, the arts are getting cut from schools, and
Yes.
we're going into these school systems and we're creating film clubs and we're inspiring the next generation of filmmakers, but we are starting at the age of middle schoolers. So
Yes, they do that here.
yeah, we would come in a heartbeat.
That's amazing.
So we're starting at middle school and we're basically we have a curriculum that we've created. I have an education background. One of my other co-owners has an education background. Jerry has a mental health background. So between all of us, we kind of put all these pieces together and say, okay, here is the stepping stones. We're going to stand here for the next 8 to 12 weeks and we're going to watch you write the script. We're going to watch you cast the script. We're going to watch you do, and we'll give you pointers, but you're doing the labor. You're doing the work. You're going to actually do it, like with your hands on the camera. The director's going to give direction. We're going to stand behind you while you're editing on the computer. And, we're going to make sure that you don't, delete it, but like, we're there, but we're not doing the work for you. You are going to do it. You're going to create it. And then when it's all said and done, we send out messages to all the school and the family and everybody. We put on a little red carpet. We put on a premiere.
Yeah.
Hey,
We do
that's amazing.
we do cash
Yeah.
sessions, and all the money that people pay for like their, $1 ticket to come to the premiere and their little popcorns all gets back into the school to keep the film club going for the following year. So we are doing that. We did it in a school last year, and the part of our deal with the school was we would submit them to film festivals through our name. And we submitted them to 4 festivals. They got into all 4 and won awards in 2 festivals. So
That's
yeah, so
awesome.
it was really cool. And then this year we just finished like a branch of that, and we decided to try homeschooling. So we got a homeschool group together and we put together a workshop. And that was definitely different than a school setting. So that was something we learned ourselves by doing that in different ways. And those kids had a blast, the parents had a blast. But because it was a workshop, it wasn't quite as intensive. But we're learning along the way as well, and like what works and what doesn't work. We have a screenwriting program set up that we're starting to work in one of the towns that we work a lot in, where we just set up 2 weekends ago. We did a workshop for free headshots for women if they wanted to come in, and we wanted to take that cost off the table for them so they could start with a fresh headshot for the new year. So we're trying to create these programs. And so for me, that's like fulfilling as well. So like the film that I'm working on this weekend is through that production company. So we have a predominantly female cast and crew, and a lot of college kids are coming out to set to just work on set and get their hands dirty and see what it is and feel that and know that. And I love that. I love that we're able to do that. And so for me, 5 years down the line as an actor, I want to be working consistently, creating, building stories, all of that. But as a producer and a person who loves to build and create, I want that to continue to grow and to touch more lives. So it's, for me, it's like kind of a twofold, right? Like I've got my career as an actress, but then I've got this other side of me that's just giving and giving, and I want to change the narrative, right? So that company is going to do that. So
That's
That's
amazing.
what I like to hear,
That
because
is absolutely
individuals like
amazing.
yourself who are in the position to
Hmm.
change the aspect of communities, teach children different aspects than just going home, hopping on the games, and being on them for 8 hours. They're learning a skill, they're
yep.
learning a trade. And I already know it, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, these are the same kids that's going to come to you and go, guess what I produced?
I hope so.
Guess what's in
I
my
hope
You are
book?
so.
changing the next generations and also changing
Absolutely.
the new future of the
Yes.
film industry.
Thank you. I hope so.
Amazing.
I hope so. I mean, that's our goal, right? Like we want it to be better and all inclusive, and this business and all the businesses, and this is the business that should just be equal and accepting and like unified. And I cannot
Hmm.
for the life of me figure out why it's not. But
I don't, girl, speak. I don't understand.
I don't either.
Like, why aren't we doing things together? Like, why aren't we having an actor trade show or something of this? Why?
Yeah,
These
I
are
feel
the things that's going to not only educate your state that you may live in, but inspire people to get in this industry and pursue a dream that they probably didn't think that they were able to do.
yep.
Hmm. Very
We've
true.
we have a beta project for 2025 as like a sort of an olive branch outside of this company that we're going to unfortunately the homeless community is also growing significantly, and there's more and more women out there that are homeless and single parents that are homeless. So we have a connection in one of the towns that we often do a lot of work in, and we've met a couple women that are just like, we don't know what to do with ourselves, we're lost, we've lost everything. And so we've kind of said, well, come to set. Like this one, we can't pay you, but we want you to be there. We want you to feel what it feels like to be a part of a group of people that are working together. And then, the next film, every film we do, the budget gets bigger, right? So the next film, the budget is significantly bigger, and we're like, we'll be able to pay you. We can't pay your mortgage, but we'll be able to pay you for the work if you want to come on set and be a PA and be a part of the journey, or just see if this is a place you want to be. Maybe you want to do our books instead, but like, let's figure out a place for you that makes you feel good and safe.
Hmm.
And so we're working, we have like two women actually coming on set this weekend that just are like, I just need people. Like I just need people. And we're like, great, come be with us. Come have
Yeah, I
crafting
mean,
and be on
Amazing.
set with us, be part of our extras, or just be a part of the group of community that's creating something and doing something.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's so crazy because we're in this industry and it already feels like everyone is trying to compete against each other. But
instead
the
of working
fact
together.
is, if we all work together to help each other and not compete against one another,
Mhm.
the love is what's going to make this explode in the right direction.
I hope
Very
so.
Yes.
true.
I
That's
hope
people
so.
like yourself that is showing someone else, and someone in another state hears about Danielle and go, "Oh, did you see what? Okay, let's try that." And
Yep.
that's what needs to get the
That's
fires burning in other states to
hmm
doing this exact same thing, making a
that's how we
difference in
can
the
change
community
the local film industry,
and
Yeah,
and then
community.
it expands from there.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. And it's hard because I get everyone, in this business, I get what it's like to like work for free, and that's such a thing for everyone, especially right now with the economy the way that it is, and with our president changing over and things like that. Everyone is holding on to every dollar. And so
Yeah.
I do understand it, but when there's a need for something, sometimes I'm like for example, I am giving up my pay for this film so that other people can get paid. And some of that's because I love this project. I mean, any money I've put in, they're putting back into my pocket because I have to be reimbursed legally. But on top of that, like, I'm not going to get paid for it because I believe that other people need to get paid, because I want them to be a part of this journey and a part of this community. And so for me, it's kind of like, I know we don't have money to pay every single person, so I'm giving back what I can give back so that the bigger name people that are attached to us can get paid, and then it turns on the flip side, and eventually that's going to catch on, and everyone else will be able to like turn around and either do the same, or they'll be able to, like, for one of the things I'm looking at in this business is there's so many big name people out there that are making exorbitant amounts of money, like unnecessary amounts of money. And part of the problem with this business is the ROI is so bad and no one wants to give to those films that aren't doing so well. But the reason that the budget is that big to begin with is like one actor costs $25 million.
Right.
I can
Mm-hmm.
make 30 movies for $25 million that are good. So like, why doesn't that one actor who makes all that money in one film instead of making a film do it in one film? That they'll survive for a year for sure, and then like say, you know what, I'll do it for 3 million this time around and give the rest back to, like, drop your budget down or give the rest back to all the other people that are barely scraping by that are working on these films. And that way, like, the budget itself comes down and then people will invest and the actual return will be better when it goes to theater. They're not looking at whatever movie going, wow, that was a bust. We just spent $150 million and it only made 20 million at the box office.
That right there.
Like, of course nobody wants to give you money if you can't turn it around. So I feel like people need to sit down and listen to each other and be on the same page. We can make wonderful movies for 10 million, 5 million, 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the middle ground is where we're going, but we need to get there. So,
Very true. Very true. Very true.
don't get me wrong, Wicked is an incredible film and it's going to be an incredible film. Take like second part. That film, okay, to me, you're justifying yourself. Like, that movie took everything and everybody, but at the same time, not every film is Wicked.
Right.
So
Right.
there are some maybe that justify that price end, but that most of them do not. So
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. If every top actor donated back into their community, because there's a film community in every state,
yes, there is.
and
Absolutely.
if every top actor donated, okay, they got paid 30, 40 mil, here's 5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can easily make 20 shorts off of that with
And
the
not even
whole crew
shorts.
paid.
Yeah, I did a feature about, I don't know, 7 years ago, and the entire feature film budget, SAG film, all the works, was only $1 million. It went out on Prime before Prime was the biggest thing since sliced bread. Like, that movie made its money back, and
Mm-hmm.
then and it was a good film. We had big name actors. We had like Stephen Baldwin in it. We had like all these people in it. And they all said, you know what, we like these producers, we like this director, we'll come in for a smaller cut. And, there's people like Eric Roberts who's starting to do that. So it's sort of like this lower level A-list group that's sort of kind of figuring this out. Um, but, George Clooney donated a crap ton of money back during the strike.
Yeah.
And now he's only doing independent projects. So, like, I give him a lot of credit and a lot of props. He's producing, he's directing, he's giving back, he's doing these budget films that are $10 million instead of 75 million, so there are people out there. It just needs to become a trend. And I understand why people are so hard to reach, but there are people, like, I feel like there's a lot of women in this industry that are on the high end of everything, where I'm like, if I could just have a conversation with you, like,
Right.
sometimes I'm just like, it's not to come at you, but it's because I think you get it. And I want someone that the world hears to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of it is the reach that people like myself and you, like, we have a reach, but it's not to millions of actors. It's to a couple thousand people,
Right. Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, we all hope to reach millions because that's how you grow and build yourself. But,
Yes.
at the same time, that's the reality. So I think there's a lot of, I mean, I like to think there's a lot of us, but like you were saying, Gerald, like, we're not talking to each other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just think that just comes from money.
Yep.
You have
And
lots of
I
money.
want to talk to a couple of those people up at the
Yeah.
top. Say, hey,
Yeah. Oh, they're going to pay me 70 million? Yeah, I'll have conversation with them. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
So, but in a doggy dog world that we live in for the most part, it's gems like yourself that shows what is possible. if you just go, you know what? I'm doing this for the future of the young people and the people in my community who feel like, you know what, maybe, maybe they feel helpless. But
Mhm.
you go, hey, why don't you? That's all someone needs to hear in their life to change this.
Yes.
This. From this changing, everything else is game over.
That's how we change the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. That's how we can inspire the upcoming new generations of the film industry. And that's your story. That's where it comes from. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me share it.
Yes,
I'd
you're
like to
very
be
welcome. You're
heard.
always
Yeah,
welcome to share that.
yeah, this is definitely probably one of our best conversations that I believe
Hmm.
we've had with someone on the show because
Yes.
it just shows what type of person you are and
Hmm.
your heart and what you're willing to do to see the fulfillment in other people's lives, but also you being at the forefront as a leader.
Thank you.
You are showing you're a leader, and and also the community support, and I before we coming toward our end of our show but with your saying, it's a community support, with all of our actors and actresses and directors and producers and so on. But what you're doing is showing that to bring the future generation into the door and showing, hey, we're here. Get involved because we also will support you. And I will say from sometimes it's from the A-list actors, it's from the B, from the C, from the D to where
Yeah.
we are. I'm
Whatever.
just saying, but what I'm trying to say is like
Don't forget the Z's over
Z
here.
too. Yes, and that's what I'm saying. So on. But my point is we are all a community. We support each other. And Danielle, that is the story of these kids and these middle school and these high school kids that they get to experience their own little, I want to say little, but their own red carpet. And
Mhm.
then that's where they're gonna go and say, I want to be an actor or an actress. I want to be a film director because maybe one day, hey, I could be getting my own Oscar somewhere in the future, right?
Yeah.
But that's what
That's
I'm
still
saying,
true.
Daniel. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, where can everybody find you and connect with you and from there?
So I am on TikTok. I'm on TikTok, which I don't use very often, but you're welcome to see my stuff. Mommy Fit 365 is my TikTok. Because to add to it, I'm a personal trainer. I'm a huge advocate
Same.
for women's health. Yes. I am a huge advocate for women's health, and I have specialties in prenatal, postnatal, perimenopause, menopause, and active older adults. So I'm as you can tell, I'm very much about like letting women be themselves and be as strong as they can be, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. And my son is
Sorry,
asking
I know.
for sorry.
Like, open this cheese.
Like I get
The
some
cheese, the cheese.
um, so my TikTok is Mommy Fit 365, and my Instagram is Danny M Harper, and I act under Danielle Harper. So you'll see some names mixed in there a little bit. Um, and you can also find me on Facebook under the same name, Danielle Harper.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you, Danielle, for coming on. We
Absolutely. Oh, and you can
appreciate.
find my company, Three Chics Flicks. Just Google us. We're everywhere.
Is it on Instagram as well?
It is,
I
yes.
will go and follow you
We will
guys.
follow it. We will
Yes.
follow it. Thank you. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so wonderful to meet you and speak with you.
Well,
Yes.
it's an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you today and keep doing big things. I feel like
I try. Thank you
we
so
will
much.
continue
You
to hear
are.
more about you in the future.
I
You
hope
are
so.
doing
Luck with
amazing,
your theater
amazing
debut.
things.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, right. Thank
I
you
know.
so much
I
Zero.
for doing
believe
what you're doing.
Daryl. I believe Daryl is going to do amazing.
He is. He is. I
I'm
feel.
speaking from
I
the
feel.
bottom of my heart, Daryl. You know, you may think I'm, no, but I am. I really am. You are going to absolutely do amazing. I hear so many positive stories of actors who go to theater and they come out of there and they get so excited. Like, I need to tell you what happened. I'm like, whoa, what's happening? What? And they're like,
Oh,
well,
you're gonna
this
have
is
the
what
best.
happened.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I messed up on my line, but everybody didn't notice. And it was like, oh, okay. And then it's like,
Yes. Yes. You're gonna have a million stories to share.
Oh, I
yeah,
can't
Daryl.
wait.
The trials and tribulations of theater acting.
Well, thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. We are looking forward to speaking with you again, and you're an amazing leader, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Thank you so much. And keep doing what you're doing and sharing, as much information and knowledge and asking all the right questions to the community and building, this is what it takes, right? Is all of us connecting and talking and sharing thoughts and ideas. So thank you.
And
Thank
that
you.
that really means a lot. And that's what Daryl and myself are here for, to ask questions and let the community, let the world hear stories from you as yourself, Danielle, and all the guests that comes on our podcast to hear the testimony of difficult times and the journeys and what inspired them to be where they are. And definitely hear stories like you to spread awareness, to bring the community together. So yeah, thank you very much. We
Thank-
appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you
See you.
again, and we'll talk to you soon.